Hey guys, welcome back to Based MMA. In this video, guys, I'm going to be giving you guys my full card UFC 294 predictions. If you're already a subscriber of the channel, if you already watched my last two videos, you know that I already made an in-depth breakdown of the main event and the co-main event. But in this video, guys, I'm going to touch on the main event and the co-main event. I'm going to be giving my final thoughts, my final prediction. Even though I did say a lot in those in-depth breakdowns that I just made, I still have a little bit more to say and some narratives out there that I've been seeing about these, the main event especially, and also the co-main event. So I am going to touch on those fights, guys, but mostly I'm going to be talking about the other fights on the card. And yeah, guys, make sure to like and subscribe. Let's get started. So on the first fight of the card, guys, we got Magomedov versus Bruno Silva. This is a fantastic fight just to start off the card, guys. We got Magomedov, who I know his stats are not here, but I believe he's 12-0. Or he might be 11-0 with 10 knockouts, man. Magomedov is 29 years old. This guy's absolutely incredible. I believe he's making his UFC debut, guys. So I had to go back and watch some of his fights because prior to this card, like I had seen pictures of this guy like on Instagram and stuff like that, but I had never really seen his fights. And then we got Bruno Silva, who's coming off a loss to Brandon Allen. And then prior to that, he lost to, I believe, GM3. He also fought Alex Pereira, which he had a competitive fight with Alex Pereira. But it seems like after he's lost to Alex Pereira, man, he's just been kind of going downhill. And then he got submitted by Brandon Allen, where he did have a little bit of success in the striking, but he lost those fights. So it seems to me like Bruno Silva's already on the decline after that fight with Alex Pereira, where we thought, man, this guy has an amazing chin in that fight. It seems like he's been declining. And yeah, man, I think Magomedov, he's a younger fighter. I know he doesn't have the experience of maybe somebody as Bruno Silva, but I think him being so much younger, him being so good on the feet, man, Magomed, I just can't say his last name. This is not happening. Based MMA can't speak. Magomedov, this guy's absolutely incredible on the feet, guys. This guy has knockout power. Bruno Silva also has one punch knockout power. I mean, it is the middleweights. So once you leave, I would say the lightweight division, most fights, could end in one punch. It's these guys are so, they have so much power and stuff like that. So, I mean, Magomedov is a big favorite coming into this fight, guys. And I agree with the odds, honestly. I agree with the odds. I think Magomedov is most likely going to get this fight. He's probably most likely going to win this fight. He already got the fight. He's most likely going to win this fight by second round TKO, man. I think I'm very high on Magomedov based on what I've seen. Like I said, I think a lot of people are criticizing because, he doesn't have maybe the most experience compared to Bruno Silva. But Bruno Silva is 34 years old. Is coming off three losses in a row. I think Magomedov should get this done, guys. So I'm going with Magomedov to win this fight. And I think this fight's going to be absolutely incredible. Just an amazing fight to start off the card. So let's move on to a women's strawweight bout. Who cares? Let's move on. Now moving on to Nathaniel Wood versus Mohamed Naimov. Guys, this is another really good fight. I know Nathaniel Wood is a big favorite, but to be honest, guys, I'm going with Naimov. I think he has a lot more power on the feet. I know Nathaniel Wood throws pretty good leg kicks as well. Both coming off a win. Mohamed Naimov just coming off knocking out Jamie Mullarkey in the second round. And then we got Nathaniel Wood, who's also coming off a win against Philly. And I think this is a very interesting matchup. I could see how Nathaniel wins this fight by decision. But I think somebody like Mohamed Naimov, I mean, we've seen that this guy has a lot of power. Nathaniel Wood sometimes likes to fight in the pocket. And I think that might be dangerous fighting a guy like Mohamed Naimov. So I'm going to go with Mohamed Naimov to win this fight. I think he's going to get a KO. Now moving on to the next fight, we got Mike Breeden versus Jubli. I hope I'm saying that correctly. We got Jubli, who's 17-0 in MMA. He just had his first fight in the UFC in February, where he looked pretty good, man. He's fast, he's young. And then we got Mike Breeden, who's 0-3 in his last 3 fights. And this guy, yeah, I knew he was the guy that got KO'd by Terrence McKinney in the very first round. Easy pick in my opinion. I'm not gonna go too in depth with this fight. This guy only has 1 fight in the UFC, and this guy's coming off 3 losses. So who do you think I'm gonna pick? Who do you think I'm gonna pick? I'm going with Jubli to win this fight. Probably by KO. Let's go. Now moving on to Asa-ar versus Cedricus Dumas. We got Cedricus Dumas who's coming off a win, a decision win. We got Asa-ar who's coming off a loss against Beirut, where he got knocked out in the third round, I believe. And then Cedricus Dumas, you know, he's coming off that win where I didn't think he looked that impressive. I mean, he's a striker. You know, a lot of opponents try to take this guy down. And I think Asa-ar, I just feel like he doesn't got it, man. I mean, he's 5'9". He's coming off a couple losses. Yeah, he's a more experienced fighter. But I think Cedricus Dumas should be able to get this fight done. I think he should be able to win this fight. And man, I can't believe he's 6'2". He looks a lot taller than 6'2", man. This guy looks so tall. But it might just be the way they took the picture. But anyway, yeah, I'm going with Cedricus Dumas to win this fight by TKO. I'm going to go in the very first round. I think it might be a little bit competitive in the first round. Maybe Asa-ar tries to take him down. But I see this being a striking fest. And I think Cedricus Dumas is just, I feel like he's like the more hungry fighter coming into this fight. Now moving on to Basharat versus Victor Henry, guys. This is another very interesting matchup. We got Basharat 14-0. We got Victor Henry with 23 wins, 6 losses. Victor Henry is coming off that split decision against Tony Gravely, where I didn't think he looked that great. It wasn't the best of performances. And then Basharat, you know, he's 14-0, very methodical fighter. He likes to fight on the feet, but he does mix the grappling. And I think he has better takedowns than Victor Henry. But I don't think the odds should be that wide. I mean, I think Victor Henry has very good pressure. He's going to bring the fight to Basharat. But Basharat, both these guys kind of go to decision a lot. But I think if anyone's going to find a finish, I could see Victor Henry finding a finish. But for this fight, guys, I'm going with Basharat to win this fight by decision. I think he's going to mix in the striking with his grappling. He's going to get takedowns, a lot of control time. And I think he's going to end up winning the fight by decision. Now moving on to Tim Elliott versus Mokaev, guys. This is a very interesting fight, guys. We got Mokaev, who's 10-0, has not lost, undefeated in the UFC. We've got Tim Elliott, who has 20 wins, 12 losses, a little bit more of an old vet. Tim Elliott, you know, he likes to fight with pressure, very front-footed, you know, very dirty, lots of volume, not as technical, but out of the two guys, I do think Tim Elliott's striking is going to be a little bit more effective. Mokaev, obviously his strength is being on the ground. He's coming off 2 submission wins, a very dominant grappler, but Mokaev tends to find in a lot of his fights, he tends to be in a lot of trouble, but he does push through, so we know he's durable. But Tim Elliott, his last fight, he did grapple a lot. I think he does tend to gas out a little bit in his fights. And yeah, I mean, I don't think the line should be as wide in favor of Mokaev, but I am picking Mokaev to win this fight. I think he's just a younger, more fresher guy. I'm not too impressed with Tim Elliott ever. I mean, he's lost to a lot of top guys in the flyweight division. I mean, he's lost to Brandon Moreno. He lost to Davidson Figueiredo. So I don't really think that Tim Elliott, I feel like he's a gatekeeper, just somebody for Mokaev to have on his resume. But I think Mokaev should win this fight. I could see him having a little bit of trouble on the feet. And if Tim Elliott is able to capitalize on the feet, I could see him maybe winning this fight, but I think Mokaev does seem to be improving his striking. So I'm going to go with Mokaev to win this fight by decision. Let's see how it goes. I'm not too confident on this pick. I think this fight's going to be pretty close, but let's see how it goes. Now moving on to the first fight of the main card, we got Said Nurmagomedov versus Muin Gafurov. Both these guys are coming off losses. You know, Muin Gafurov is coming off a loss to Castaneda. Said Nurmagomedov is coming off a loss to Jonathan Martinez in a very, very close fight in my opinion, but I did think Jonathan Martinez started to edge that fight out. Said Nurmagomedov is a very good striker. You know, he typically goes to a decision. Got my Gafurov, who typically gets a finish. This is not a guy that goes to a decision, guys. But I think if Muin Gafurov wants to win this fight, I think he needs to implement a lot more of the grappling and try not to give Said Nurmagomedov too much range to strike outside. And I'm going to go with Said Nurmagomedov. I'm not too confident on this pick either. I think this fight's going to be close. I think Muin Gafurov, if he implements the grappling, he could have success. If he stays in the clinch, I think he could have success. But he is, oh my God, in this picture, he looks a lot shorter than Said. Said is 5'8", so he's not that tall. I think it's the way his body frame. He looks like a very tall guy, but he's only 5'8". Muin looks like a very short guy, and he's only 5'7", which is crazy. But like I said, I think Said Nurmagomedov is the better striker here. He does like to fight at range, but I think, You know, he had a hard time with Jonathan Martinez in a very close fight, but we've seen that Jonathan Martinez is actually, like, he's very good. We just saw what he did to Adrian Yanez just last week. So I'm going to go with Said Nurmagomedov to win this fight. Probably by decision, which is typically how his fights go. But I think Muin Gafurov has a really good chance of winning this fight as well. But like I said, I'm going with Said Nurmagomedov to win this fight. Guys, I don't know what's wrong with my computer, but we got Aliskerov versus Warley Alves. Very interesting matchup, guys. Imava was supposed to fight Aliskerov, and that fight was going to be a lot better than this fight that, you know, he had to step out. But I wish we would have gotten that fight because I really was going to pick Imavov to beat Ikram. I'm not too sold on Ikram. You know, his only loss really is to Hamzat outside of the UFC. And he's a very good fighter. You know, he's coming off that win against Phil Hawes, where prior to him knocking out Phil Hawes, like, Phil Hawes was actually doing pretty good in that fight. But, you know, on short notice, Warley Alves, his best win is against Colby Covington, where he submitted Colby Covington. That's probably his only... I don't know how he's the favorite, but I'm going with Ikram Aliskerov to win this fight. I think he's going to be able to TKO Warley Alves or maybe control him on the ground. But like I said, you know, I haven't seen too much of Warley Alves besides that Colby Covington that I went back to go watch, and then some of his other fights wasn't too impressed with this guy. And Ikram Aliskerov, you know, he was actually going to fight Imava, which I think was going to be a very interesting matchup. A lot of people were picking Ikram. A lot of people were picking Imava. Very 50-50 kind of fight. I was going to lean Imava. I think he's just way better of a striker. And like I said, I think Phil Hawes was actually having a lot of success against Ikram prior to him getting chin. And we know Phil Hawes doesn't have the best chin, guys. But, you know, short notice, I'm going with Ikram to win this fight. Now, moving on to Magomedov Ankalaev versus Johnny Walker, guys. And I think this fight has the potential to either be a snooze fest or be fight of the night. I think it's going to be either or. We got Magomedov Ankalaev, who's clearly the better technical striker out of the two. Way better of a mixed martial artist than Johnny Walker. But Johnny Walker is very wild on the feet. Magomedov Ankalaev is coming off that draw against Jan Blachowicz, where I didn't think it should have been a draw. I think he won 3 out of those 5 rounds. Very competitive fight. Obviously, Jan Blachowicz had a lot of success with those leg kicks. And if Johnny Walker maybe is able to implement that against Magomedov Ankalaev, maybe he could have some success. But to be totally honest with you, I don't even think that's a very smart game plan for Johnny Walker, just because Johnny Walker, you know, I think when he fights somebody that is just very superior to him, like Magomedov Ankalaev, that is just technically better on the ground, better in the striking, you know, has a lot of power as well, even though he does tend to go to a decision. I think the pathway that I see Johnny Walker winning this fight is just like something crazy, something wild. And I think Johnny Walker needs to not fight the way he fought against Anthony Smith, where it was a little bit more technical. It was a bit more of the snooze fest. And Anthony Smith, man, once he got leg kicked, he just pretty much gave up, and it was just kind of a snooze fest. You know, Johnny Walker didn't do anything crazy, but clearly won that fight. But I think, you know, I was leaning Johnny Walker earlier this week. I thought, you know, if he does something crazy, you know, his striking is pretty good. You know, he does have a 82-inch reach. Magomedov Ankalaev 75, so he has an advantage in the reach. You know, I think Johnny Walker is a live underdog, but the more I've thought about the fight, and I think Magomedov Ankalaev does have championship potential, to be totally honest with you. So I think Magomedov Ankalaev should get this done. But guys, I'm rooting for Johnny Walker, man. I want Johnny Walker to win, man, because if Johnny Walker wins, absolutely deserves a title shot. And Johnny Walker versus Yuri Prohaska, Johnny Walker versus Alex Pereira, to me, is just way more attractive and appealing than Magomedov Ankalaev. Because if Magomedov Ankalaev ends up winning this fight, I mean, it depends too, right? It depends how he ends up winning this fight. If it's very dominant, if it's a finish. But I think if Magomedov Ankalaev might get a finish here. I mean, we've seen Johnny Walker get finished by Jamal Hill. We know Johnny Walker doesn't have the best of chins. He always gets finished in a very goofy way. But I really want Johnny Walker to win, and he's on a good little win streak. I mean, he also beat Paul Craig back in January. And he looked pretty good, man, where, you know, I want to say, is it Paul Craig? Yeah, Paul Craig shot for a takedown and Johnny Walker was able to hurt him. So Johnny Walker does have very interesting finishes, but I think Magomedov Ankalaev is just too good. The superior fighter just all around, in my opinion. I mean, Johnny Walker has a puncher's chance, man, but I think I'm going to go with Magomedov Ankalaev to win this fight by KO, TKO. I think he's going to be able to get a finish. And I think he's going to pressure Johnny Walker. And like I said, he could take this fight down to the mat. Or if he struggles down to the mat, he could have success on the feet. But like I said, if Johnny Walker wants to win this fight, he definitely should not try to fight the way he fought Anthony Smith. He should not try to be technical. He needs to go out there and try to finish this man. But yeah, guys, that's my prediction. Ankalaev to win here by KO TKO. Now moving on to the co-main event, we got Kamaru Usman versus Khamzat Chimaev, guys, and this page does not want to open Kamaru Usman versus Khamzat Chimaev. I've been trying for the past 3 minutes, but it doesn't let me. But you guys already know the X's and O's. I've already talked enough about the co-main event. We got Kamaru Usman versus Khamzat Chimaev, guys, and I'm still sticking with my prediction. I'm going with Khamzat Chimaev to get a TKO KO finish here. Look, you know, today, I think, what is it, Wednesday? We just saw footage of Kamaru Usman training with Justin Gaethje at the open workouts, and it seemed like Kamaru Usman still has knee problems, and like, you know, we were already picking Khamzat Chimaev to destroy Kamaru Usman, and then the fact that Kamaru Usman seems like he's hurt still, it's not looking good, bruh. It's not looking good for Kamaru Usman. And I'm still going Khamzat Chimaev, guys. What I will say, what I did say on my breakdown, guys, is that I feel like Kamaru Usman has actually pretty good boxing. And if he's able to use that against Khamzat Chimaev, especially out of the first round, like if you get into the second, third round, if Kamaru Usman's able to implement his boxing and he's able to kind of gas out a little bit of Khamzat Chimaev, look, I think Khamzat Chimaev is going to start pretty aggressive. And if he's unsuccessful on the feet, then I could see Kamaru Usman maybe having a chance here. But like I said, I think Khamzat Chimaev is going to be relentless. And I think in the striking, it could get a little bit more interesting if it was in the welterweight division. And this fight is in the middleweight division. I think Khamzat Chimaev looks like he's properly bulked up to the middleweight division. He's 185. He looks huge, man. I just saw the pictures on Instagram. He looks absolutely huge. And Kamaru Usman, I saw his pictures. He pretty much looks the same. I mean, he looks a little flabby. I mean, he still looks pretty muscular. He's still a pretty yoked dude, but I just think Khamzat Chimaev should win this fight. And I honestly, guys, even though I'm picking Khamzat Chimaev to get a KO TKO here, I kind of hope I'm wrong. I honestly hope I'm wrong because I kind of want to see a war. I don't want to just see Khamzat Chimaev destroy Kamaru Usman. If I'm being totally honest, the original matchup with Paulo Costa, I was kind of leaning that fight to be a little bit of a back and forth. I think Paulo Costa was going to be a little bit dangerous on the feet. His volume striking could give Khamzat Chimaev, if he throws a lot of body kicks against Khamzat Chimaev because of Khamzat Chimaev's frame, I do see that he's kind of open to body kicks. And, you know, Gilbert Burns had a lot of success with that lead hook. I could also see Paulo Costa having success. And Kamaru Usman, guys, he has a very stiff jab. He has a very good one, too. I mean, we saw how he's knocked out a lot of guys in the welterweight division. But he's knocked out smaller guys. He's knocked out people like Colby Covington, who could probably make lightweight. Gilbert Burns, a former lightweight. Jorge Masvidal, former lightweight. Like, Kamaru Usman hasn't been in a fight where you could tell, like, okay, he's a smaller guy. He's not going to be as strong as Khamzat Chimaev. He's not going to be as strong. So, and then the fact that it's on short notice, it seems like everything is stacked against Kamaru Usman, and that's kind of ironic because I'm about to talk about the main event. And you guys already know who I picked for the main event. But like I said, I think Khamzat Chimaev, middleweight, you know, these guys have never fought. I think Khamzat Chimaev should win this fight. You know, if it was in the welterweight division, guys, I would think it's a little bit more competitive. I might even pick Kamaru Usman, but I think just because also Kamaru Usman, just, you know, he got head kick KO 2 fights ago, and then he didn't look too great against Leon Edwards. Going into that fight, he did mention that he was going in with a lot of injuries. I don't see how he gets this done. I mean, I guess if Khamzat Chimaev blows his load like he did against Gilbert Burns, and we've seen Kamaru Usman has a lot of power and he has good cardio as well. This is a 3 rounds, which Kamaru Usman hasn't been in a 3 rounds since before that Tyron Woodley fight. So, like I said, I think Khamzat Chimaev, he's going to be able to drop him with his jab. I see him dropping him and maybe getting a submission on the ground. But to be honest, I see Khamzat Chimaev dropping Kamaru Usman and then landing ground and pound shots. Unless he gets a clean KO, which is very possible because Kamaru Usman loves to duck his head. And I think Khamzat Chimaev might find the uppercut. But I'm still sticking to my prediction that I said on my in-depth breakdown, guys. I'm going with Khamzat Chimaev to find a KO, TKO in the first round. I think I might have said second round in my in-depth, but I'm feeling down, man. I'm feeling first round. Like I said, I think Khamzat Chimaev is just going to overwhelm Kamaru Usman. And, you know, Kamaru Usman, we know he's not coming into this fight in fight shape necessarily. But like I said, I don't think Kamaru Usman is washed, but I think he's definitely on the decline. 36 years old, doesn't have the best knees. We just saw in the open workouts how this guy seems to be deteriorating. He told Justin Gaethje, "Oh, I think something popped." Like, Hamza Chimaev is gonna eat this guy up, man, and that sucks because I'm actually starting to become a Kamaru Usman man. And those interviews, the guy's winning me over. He seems like a chill guy. He seems like he's in good spirits coming into this fight, but I just don't see Kamaru Usman, winning this fight. Like, I hope it's a war. I'm a little bit conflicted because the side of me, I want Kamaru Usman to win. He's the underdog. He's stepping in on short notice. Big respect. But on the other hand, I also want Hamza Chimaev to absolutely destroy him because I do not want to see Kamaru Usman versus Sean Strickland for a middleweight title. Like, who wants to see that fight? I'd rather see Hamza Chimaev fight for the title than a Kamaru Usman. So, there's that. But I'm going with Hamza Chimaev to win this fight. He should absolutely win this fight. He's a younger fighter, the faster fighter, the better guy on the ground. Maybe the grappling. I think Kamaru Usman does have very good takedown defense, but I think Hamza Chimaev is going to mix the grappling with the striking. And since Kamaru Usman might be worried about getting taken down, which he's never worried about getting taken down, I think Hamza Chimaev is going to be able to land really good punches on the feet, and I think he should win this fight. Now, moving on to the main event, Islam Makhachev versus Alexander Volkanovski 2, man. I mean, I've talked a lot about this fight, man. I've talked about Islam Makhachev, Alexander Volkanovski. Obviously, we all know the circumstances around this fight. Volkanovski stepping in on 10 days notice. So many people are talking about the fact that this man had hand surgery a couple months ago. And then people are talking about, like, he's not properly bulking up to lightweight. Last time he fought in Australia where he had all the advantages. Islam Makhachev wasn't able to rehydrate properly because the rehydration window in Australia is shorter, so he didn't have time to properly bulk up. And Islam Makhachev is going to be a lot stronger coming into this fight. I'm sure you've heard all that in all the YouTube channels. Everybody's talking about that. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that the circumstances are not going to play a factor in this fight, but I think people are overstating the circumstances just a tad bit, in my opinion, just a tad bit. Look, Alexander Volkanovski, I really believe that this guy would not take the fight if he really thought he was in what do you want to say? I don't believe that Alexander Volkanovski would take this fight if he really didn't feel like he is capable of winning. Like, I know he's not necessarily in fight shape, but he has to be in some sort of shape for him to accept the fight. Like, he knows, like, a lot of people out there are saying, guys, the narrative out here is that Alexander Volkanovski has nothing to lose. And I get it. He doesn't have his featherweight belt to lose, but personally, I feel like Volkanovski has a lot to lose, man, because if he gets finished by KO TKO, that could destroy his chin. I mean, he's 36 years old. He moves down and fights somebody that has great hands, great boxing, a lot of power like Elliott. Like, he might chin Volkanovski, especially if Islam Makhachev is able to chin him. So the people out there that say that Volkanovski has absolutely nothing to lose is absolutely ridiculous. Of course he has something to lose. The legacy is on the line. In a way, even though the first fight he lost, a lot of people saw it like a win for Volkanovski, especially how that fight ended. So in a way, Volkanovski never fighting Islam Makhachev, it could be a win in his legacy, a win in his career. But Volkanovski is not that type of fighter. He's not there to protect his record. He said, I want it back. I want to fight Islam Makhachev on 10 days notice. Huge respect, man. And I really do believe he has the skills, man. And a lot of people are saying, well, Alexander Volkanovski doesn't have a full training camp. He's not going to be able to make the adjustments. But honestly, guys, after that first fight, I really do believe that Volkanovski has already made adjustments for that Islam Makhachev. I feel like he already knows what he did wrong. And I feel like in that fifth round of that fight, he made adjustments. When he made that shift combo, instead of ducking in, he stepped back and landed that right hand that dropped Islam Makhachev and was able to land ground and pound shots. And something that I mentioned in my in-depth breakdown, guys, was that the last sequence of the fight was Alexander Volkanovski landing ground and pound shots on Islam Makhachev and absolutely destroying him and hurting him. You know what I'm saying? And that matters, man, because the last sequence of the fight wasn't Islam Makhachev winning. It was Alexander Volkanovski pretty much destroying this guy. You know what I'm saying? That's gonna play a factor here. And a lot of people, yes, we could get to the technical side, and yes, of course, Islam Makhachev won the fight, like I said in my breakdown, but I think a lot of people are sleeping on Volkanovski, and I get it, man. I get it. Islam Makhachev should absolutely be the favorite. He's coming in this fight in his home territory. He's going to be able to rehydrate properly. He's going to be the bigger guy, going to have the better cardio. And we saw how good he was in the striking. But I think Volkanovski, man, I'm going to pick him, guys. I really do think he's going to be able to find a shot. He's going to come in more aggressive. He's going to capitalize on any mistakes Islam Makhachev makes. I think the pathway for Islam Makhachev to beat Volkanovski, in my opinion, is to grapple early, drain Volkanovski, because we know he's not going in with the greatest cardio. Drain him that way. Just be relentless with the grappling. Get Volkanovski tired, and then maybe find a finish with his striking in the later rounds. But I think Volkanovski is going to be able to find the shot. I really do think that he's figured out Islam Makhachev. And, you know, something about these Dagestanis, especially like Khabib was never in a rematch. You know what I'm saying? So Volkanovski, like if this was the first time that Islam Makhachev and Volkanovski was fighting and Volkanovski stepping 10 days notice, I would lean Islam Makhachev. But the thing is that now Volkanovski knows how Islam Makhachev feels. Now he knows how he feels. And like that element of surprise is not going to be there. And something like I said in my breakdown was that in that first fight, I really do believe that Volkanovski was worried about the grappling. Like he's like, man, you know, they talk about Islam, how strong he feels on the ground and stuff like that. And Volkanovski felt that. And even when he was taken down by Islam Makhachev, we saw how he was showboating because he's like, he's not that strong. He's not that strong. So I do think that that plays a factor coming into this fight, that these guys have recently fought, that Volkanovski did very well in that 5th round. The fact that Volkanovski, knows, I know how this guy feels on the ground. He's going to trust his hands more. And I think that's the plan here. I think Volkanovski is going to be very, very dangerous early on. And like I said, I'm counting on Volkanovski to be able to find a finish here. Obviously, I completely understand why people are picking this on Makhachev. I'm not saying that it's a dumb pick, but based MMA is going with Volkanovski, man. I think he's that good. I think he looked incredible against Jair Rodriguez. And like I said, I think against Jair Rodriguez, Volkanovski just looked a lot more aggressive, man. He's not there to have a chess match. He's there to hurt you. And I think Volkanovski, a lot of people are sleeping him on because he's on 10 days notice, which I absolutely understand. But it's Volkanovski, man. It's Alexander Volkanovski. If anybody can get it done, it's Alexander Volkanovski. Now, I understand he's going against somebody that is as good as Islam Makhachev, who we saw this guy is so good on the feet, so good on the ground. Like, it's not like Islam Makhachev is trash on the feet and Volkanovski was winning most of the striking exchanges, and then Islam, would take him down and that's why he would win the rounds. No, we saw that Islam Makhachev had a lot of success. He has a nasty straight left from the southpaw stance, the southpaw. So I think Volkanovski has already made adjustments, guys. And like I said, I have to go with my feeling because I've had a feeling the whole week that Alexander Volkanovski is going to get it done. But like I said, Islam Makhachev, incredible fighter. He deserves all the respect. And I actually like Islam Makhachev. I know a lot of people that maybe are picking Volkanovski hate Islam, but I don't hate the guy. I think the guy's pretty entertaining on the mic. He's a great fighter. And if he ends up winning this fight and fights Justin Gaethje, I am going to be rooting for Islam Makhachev. I think I like Islam Makhachev more than Justin Gaethje. But yeah, guys, I'm going with my boy Volkanovski to win this fight. I think he's going to find a finish early. He's going to come in explosive. He's going to come in dangerous. And I think because of his stature and his size, that's always going to give Islam Makhachev a bit of problems. It did last time. I do think that in the first fight, he might have underestimated Volkanovski a little bit. And like I said, I'm sticking my prediction. I think Volkanovski is going to get aggressive early. He's going to pressure him. He's going to use his boxing. And he's going to win this fight, guys. Come back. Don't clown me. Volkanovski's going to win this fight, guys. And you're going to subscribe to Based MMA because I keep it based. I'm going to be the only one. And another reason why I'm picking Volkanovski, guys, let's talk about the Lucas Tracy curse. You know what I'm saying? That I'm not here to shit on Lucas Tracy, man. I'm not going to shit on Lucas Tracy, guys, because those picks that he's gotten wrong, especially the pay-per-views, I got wrong. I mean, all of us picked Adesanya. I picked Aljamain Sterling. I picked Dustin Poirier. The fight that I did feel like that I thought the other guy was going to win was Sean O'Malley. I felt like Sean O'Malley was going to win the whole week, and he ended up winning. But I picked Sterling based on logic. And then, so I picked Alexander Volkanovski. I picked the Charles Oliveira. That was a very good pick because a lot of people were picking Benil Dariush. I picked Henry Cejudo. Man, that was a very close fight. I got it wrong. I picked Alex Pereira. I did pick Leon Edwards. I picked Cyril Gane. That was a bad pick. And then in that second fight, I picked the first fight between Alexander Volkanovski and Islam Makhachev. I believe I bet on Islam Makhachev, but I think I picked Volkanovski. Which I got wrong. And then the first fight, the first pay-per-view was Jamal Hill versus Glover Teixeira. I did pick Jamal Hill, so that was a very good pick of mine. But I have not had a very good year when it comes to the main events for the pay-per-view, so I'm not going to shit on Lucas Tracy. But maybe he does have a curse. And then Alexander Volkanovski is going to get it done. He is going up against a lot of factors. I mean, the EA curse, that's a big thing. That's a real thing. But let's hope that Lucas Tracy curse becomes real and is true. But MMA Guru also picked Islam Makhachev to win the fight. So who knows? Maybe the MMA Guru can break the Lucas Tracy curse. But I'm going here, guys, with Alexander Volkanovski. Like I said, I just have a feeling that he has the power to finish Islam Makhachev, and that he now knows how Islam Makhachev feels, and that he's going to go in with a lot of confidence. And we saw in the first fight how even though Islam Makhachev was able to stun Alexander Volkanovski, like it wasn't like he stunned Alexander Volkanovski, but it was never where like the fight was about to end, you know, where Alexander Volkanovski was about to get finished. He stunned Volkanovski, but Volkanovski, you know, he quickly regained his composure here. So I think out of the two guys, I think on the feet, Volkanovski has he's more capable of finishing the fight, in my opinion, guys. But anyway, that's my breakdown for UFC 294, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed my 4-card prediction, guys. That's my last video before UFC 294. Obviously, I'll be making a video post UFC 294. We'll see what ends up happening, guys. I hope you guys enjoy the fights, guys. Please make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy the channel, guys. And I'll see you guys in the next one.